Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Pallavi Chaturvedi this side and I welcome you all to this rubric study video in connection with psychology. Case taking is already done with you all in English by our master himself, Dr. Milind sir, and his video I will share in my description the link. You can directly go and listen from him, and because I am learning from him till now, whatever he has taught in his life, and today when I apply I get a greater depth. So better you listen from him directly. And also one webinar was taken whose details I will mention in the description. You can still purchase from Dr. Akshita Gupta. It's available with 10 cases in connection to his study. Okay, so this methodology is directly applied there. Now let me begin with psychology. Why I have connected like this, because when we study, when some newcomer opens mind section and says, oh, I have to apply all these rubrics, and they get lost that there are so many number and how, from where to begin with. They don't know that from where to start. Okay, directly study cases or and then apply rubrics, or how. So the first thing I would suggest is you study Audesapre journal, and in that lot of doctors have shared their cases and rubric application in the cases. So one is that. The second thing is HHF books. My own book is there for case taking, in which I have shared all the steps necessary for understanding how to approach a case with applied mind method. And there are many other authors, Dr. Krishna Kumar Dinde, Dr. Mayuresh, and Dr. Yogesh Rajurkar. So the books are available for you. You read them thoroughly, sit in a group and study every case in great detail. So all these HHF books, if you study, you will get a thorough idea of how to apply these rubrics and be a successful practitioner. So along with that, I'm trying to share this basic concept that from where you can pick up rubrics to segregate them, because whenever we have to learn something like a poem also, we prefer to divide the poem into paragraphs, memorize in steps, and things like that. So if you begin with segregation by Freud, how he has done is he has categorized the behavior of a man into id, ego, and superego. Now what is id? Id is the primitive component of human being, the personality that comes from the primitive self, the urges and impulses which he is born with, and then how it gets carried away in his further life. So if there are certain remedies who stay in that primitive form, like Bufo, if you see, he has never grown into an adult form, although he grows physically, but mentally he is still the same. Okay, then Bufo little outgrows and becomes Baraita ka becomes little mature, and then how maturity signs and other remedies come up. So from there on, if you pick up the rubrics to study, like instinctual rubrics are there based on imbecility or the desires, or the desires which are basically very strong. The impulses are there from where the person feels that I want to do it now and I can't just wait. They can't hold on. They want to do it right now. And this is how these impulses, they come from id. Okay, now further, if you rather than categorizing, if you see, all of them can be combined, that I want this, I want it right now. So who is saying that he wants it? Is his ego basically. So it arises from ego. So that way, if you see, all of it will be connected to the person himself, but we are just segregating. If you can segregate the rubrics into desires, and what all desires are very very strong, like bulimia, gourmand, I want to do it. There is one rubric, delusion hunter, he is in Veratrum album, where he just hunts for people to fulfill his desires, and that selfishness is there, that the person is only self-centered, that he only thinks for nourishing himself or his well-being and not concerned about anyone around. So all these set of rubrics you can categorize into id. Okay, then the second section comes as superego. Superego is the ethical component of the personality, which provides moral standards which are set by the ego. itself, right? The ego only says that. So if you see, all are one again, I would say. But then this super ego is framed by whom? It is framed by the society in general. The criticisms, the prohibitions that, oh, you should get married, oh, after marriage you should not do this, and for children also, don't back answer to your adults, obey them. So this is how superego is formed. So the rubrics which come under superego will be anxiety conscience, sensitive to moral impressions, and doing the right things, ambition, raise yourself, go little higher, rise above the rest. So this is how we get a lot of moral lessons from people, that what you should do and what you should not do. So not do rubrics also can come under superego, right? So this is, and what I was saying in the English video, in the Hindi video, was I gave an example where a lot of people in India are becoming sannyasis. Sannyasis means they outgrow their general desires, and they want to live a life which is full of restraint, and they want to they want to rise above the rest, and they want to raise their consciousness to such a level where they outgrow having such desires which we have, that I want to be rich, and I want to have a car, and I want to have a big house, and I want to do this, do that. Rather than that, these people, they become a source of energy, become a source of guidance to general human beings. Like if suppose I'm stuck somewhere, I will want to go to a spiritual seeker, a spiritual master, who will guide me to the right path. So this is how India becomes a spiritual center for the world. If you see, there are so many people like Gaur Gopal Das coming up, and the yoga guru himself, Ramdev Baba, and you see, there are so many of them in India who become spiritual masters. And if you see, they go to the Himalayas in the past also, and there have been so many Rishi Munis who have achieved a lot, and they have you know if you see Aryabhatta, and if you see so many of them who have really proved their niche in the scientific field, in the technological field, and from them other people have got inspiration outside India also. So they have really guided humanity as a whole, that how you should live your life ideally. Like Lord Ram was there, so he set an example that this is how an ideal man should be. So superego is telling you how you should be, and if you don't abide by that, then there is a factor of guilt which comes in, and that stops you from going on a wrong track. So that will tell you that, this is it, now set your boundaries. If suppose we don't have boundaries, then there will be a lot of clashes, and those clashes will be inside you also. So to avoid those clashes, to avoid any conflicts, you need to have boundaries by which you have to abide by, and suppose promises to make, we say. So these limitations are very essential for the awakening and for a better society. And then comes the ego. Ego is what? The responsible of our sense of self, our ability to interact with the outside world. These lines I have taken from Freud himself. Part of the past most closely connected to self-awareness. It's the reality, our sense of self-awareness, which tells you that you are you. Okay, supposing my name, I have got a name and someone calls me and I recognize myself, then I say, oh, this pen belongs to me, this chair belongs to me. So I become so important part, right? So ego is essential, but at the same time, ego should know where I should just restrain myself and not overdo it. Because for overdoing it, we have a rubric, egotism, where the person, without doing much in the world also, without doing much in his life, he just talks about himself and feels that he is the most important person in this world. So the rubric becomes egotism. But what is ego? Ego is the reality. It's the survival instinct himself. How do we identify the rubrics of ego? Now, ego stands in between the person and the environment, the adaptation process that happens when the person falls ill, what he does in that situation is the ego which makes him do. Suppose in pain, we say that what is the patient doing when he's in pain? I don't want any disturbance, I want to lie down, I get irritated. So whatever the person does during that state of disease is the ego which makes him do. So all the rubrics, basically the anger, morose, sadness, grief, everything will come under the category of ego. Okay, so if you see how this ego grows, the ego makes the person more rational. Suppose I have done an art. Okay, when I do an art and I expect people to appreciate, like I'm making a video, and if I don't get likes and comments, and I'll be like, oh, what is this rubbish thing I'm doing, I'll just stop it. But when I get the likes and comments, I feel, oh yes, my video is appreciated, and I really look forward for making more, right? So my ego is boosted, and that is what makes me do the action. Okay, so if you see, the creative side is the super ego, and we say the left sided channel, and the ego, we say, is the right sided channel, which is action oriented. So if you do something and you overdo it and you feel like repeatedly doing it, your ego is making you do. So you become more of action oriented person. But you should know that, where you have to make a demarcation, that I should not oversay about it or overdo about it, because then I will land in a trouble. So over of anything, whether it is of guilt or whether it is of your self importance, anything can land you in trouble. So there has to be a balance between you, inside you. So when there is a balance, when you are running in the center, you are in a state of health. Wherever there is a conflict and there is an imbalance, and the energy channels, they take you towards disease, because the functioning gets disturbed of that particular organ from where the thought and the organ are connected. So that psychodynamic role takes place, and particular organ gets dysfunctional. So either more of secretions, less of secretions, and things like that. So it lands in pathology. So if you see, the baseline is that you have to stay innocent, you have to stay balanced, and that is why we say children are the figures of God, God manifestation, because they are very innocent. Whatever they mean, they just say it, and human beings, they cover up with a lot of layers. So we have to keep that child inside, alive. And Shri Mataji Nirmala Devi's videos I was listening to understand ego and super ego, and she mentioned a fantastic example by narrating this poem. And we always, we keep saying this poem to our children: Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. So what is Humpty Dumpty over here is the ego itself. Though Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. So how you fall in life, and then once that ego crashes, and then no one can repair it. Even the king's men, king's horses, whoever comes, they can't help you. It's you who has to help yourself by staying in the center, staying focused, and staying grounded. Stick to your roots and always stay in touch with your roots, and that is more essential to be in a state of health. And we as homeopaths, when we work on mind section of rubrics, we understand this disconnect, we understand where the conflict rises, and we correct that imbalance, and that is how this person again comes to the center, again attains his state of health. So from this message, I just want to conclude this video, and next I will be doing the age erection psychosexual stages. And do like, comment, share, and subscribe my channel. Thank you so much. Bye.